everyone who's doing this for the first time, thanks, Ashton. Everyone who's doing this for the first time, if you can put up your hands so we kind of know who we're speaking to wise. But yeah, there you go. You can put up your hand. I was going to say, actually, let's see your hands. Very good. So we have Sophie, we have Talisha, we have Rob, Andrew, Sumit, Ashley, Ava, amazing. Daniela, Charlie, Wes, Saravan, amazing. That's what I can see on my screen. I think some people are off to the scene. I know Mark. So all your first time, I want you to leave this call fully equipped to have essentially all your questions answered. Like the only thing when you have your pre-race call with your coach, which I recommend all of you do, you have the option to sit down, go over your specific nutrition plan, your specific pacing plan. That is all you pretty much have to go over with your coach at that point, because everything else logistic wise has been covered today in this call. So I'm going to do my best. We've actually put together a presentation, do my best to go over everything. I'm going to give the coaches or those that have been there before, if you need to weigh in, if I've missed anything that may be helpful for everybody, please don't hesitate. If you can put your hands down, that way I know when someone wants to weigh in on a topic that I'm talking about, then you put your hand up and I'll call on you. Or if yeah, someone can just keep an eye out on that, because I'm going to get this presentation up. So exciting 2 weeks. We're going to see you all. And I'm looking very much forward to that, because there's a lot of you I've actually never met before. So I'm trying to share my screen. Give me 1 second. And okay, can everyone see this? Okay, cool. I'm realizing I don't see the hands up. And so from here, so any coaches who want to weigh in, you just got to speak, okay, when I get to you. So just a timeline of events. Obviously, the race is on Sunday. I believe most of you are getting in on Friday or Saturday, depending on how far you're traveling. Friday afternoon and pretty much all day Saturday is packet pickup. The one thing, if you do come in on Friday night, Saturday morning, we will have a shakeout ride and run. Here's the address. You'll also get it in an email. And by the way, if you have not gotten emails, there's some already have gone out to make sure to connect everyone and make sure you have all the logistics. We need to get an RSVP for dinner on Saturday. Then if you can email Ashton at NVDMcoaching.com to make sure you get on that list. Somehow we then missed you. Yeah, so Saturday, I'd highly recommend you come all join us. We do just a bit of a shakeout ride on the course, as well as a little run after the fact. Thanks, Ashton, for putting that up there. That is what is on most of your schedules. I would say probably try to do the swim before you leave. It's kind of hard to get swim. There's no open water. You can't swim on the course. And the open water availability is about, I'd say 45 minutes away. If you did want to get some open water, there definitely is availability and we'll go to that, but it's far ways away. There is, however, a country club that does have a pool. So if you're like, I got to swim the day before the race, it's right there by the Schlitterbahn. I think you pay a day pass, maybe it's $20, and you can go in and you can get a swim in that pool. So that's for Saturday. And then you'll be checking in your bikes on Saturday. I personally am going to be at the expo pretty much all the time. So you guys, if you have any last minute questions, you want to see me, I'm going to be at a Raw booth on Friday afternoon. We're even doing a shakeout run in the afternoon at 4 p.m. and like last minute nutrition questions. If you feel like you've traveled in, you want to do a very light shakeout to get those legs moving, please come join us. And then I'm going to be there all day at the booth on Saturday as well. Saturday evening, as we wrote here, 6 to 8. Even 6 to 7, because it's very timely. We have a team dinner that's honestly amazing food. I would not miss it at all. If you guys have any family and friends coming in that feel like they can help with preparation of this dinner, let's say 4 to 6, we do need someone on the grill or just someone to help with just preparation with Chris at this team house. So please email Ashton to volunteer that person. We honestly need maybe 2 to 3, but which I think will be taken care of by the time we've got after this call. And then Sunday logistics, transition opens at 5. Know these numbers. 5:45, meet at the team tent. We do a little shakeout run, so mobility. 6 o'clock, we do a little prayer for those who are interested, and then we walk over to the swim start together. Know these times, you guys. Know that there's a bit of a a walk. I mean, it takes about 10, maybe 15 minutes to walk to the start. And then there is a bag drop off at the swim start. I highly recommend you walk in tennis shoes, not flip-flops, not barefoot, because it's a long way to walk barefoot. And a lot of people, what they do, they'll do their warm up, depending on how warm or cold it is. They'll do their warm up, and then immediately when they're done, they'll put their wetsuit on, put it pretty much to their waist. Sometimes they'll go all the way up, and then they'll walk to the start like that. However, if it is warm that day, I would say wait. And depending on what time your wave goes off, I would say wear fully your clothes, have your morning clothes bag with you, walk to the start, and then I'd say 30 minutes away, maybe 40 minutes away from your wave starting, start to put your wetsuit on, and know that it's a small chute that goes in over onto this bridge where you hop off this bridge into the water. You want to, if your wave it will be wetsuit legal, yes. Your wave will start lining up a good 10 to 15 minutes before your wave actually starts. And so if you want to get into a good position, it is a time trial start, right, you guys? Yeah. Okay. So what it's going to be, so you guys know, is they'll say sub 30 minutes, you're in the front. 30 to 34 minutes, there'll be a sign, you line. So it's your estimated time of finish. You line up with those people. 35 to 40 minutes, you line up with those people. So you want to get there early enough so you get in position of when you want to get into the water. I would say most people overestimate their time. So if you're thinking 39, definitely be in that 35 to 39 group. Don't wait for the 40-minute group. And I always say, be in the front. Yes, if 30 to 34 minutes, start towards the front. Be in the front. Don't wait, because later in the day, it gets warmer. It gets more humid. It can get really, really windy. Had you started 30 minutes earlier, maybe you would have avoided a lot of those things. And then I also find it just gets a little chaotic out there, especially with the bikes. And if you want to get out of the water in a good spot with good cyclists to be able to kind of ride with them versus always saying on your left, and getting like blocked because you started way in the back, then don't do that. I always encourage start more so to the front because of so many benefits with that. Okay. Does anyone want to add to that? I know a lot of the stuff is coming. Okay. Yeah. So race morning, we talked about race starting at 7 a.m. Wave start, not a wave start, but a rolling start. So everyone should be in line, ready to go. I'd say 6:40. You are going to be, Charlie and Alex raise their hands. I'll come to you in a second. You are going to be walking over a bridge, and you're going to be dropping down from this bridge that goes over the water into the water. And so you kind of jump in feet first, and then you start swimming. So just be prepared for that. This is also a reason why they don't let people in the water prior to race day, is because there's a lot of shells, right? Oyster beds that you can cut your feet on. So don't be that person who goes down and walks to the water to clean out their goggles or to feel the water. You're going to cut your feet. This is also a reason, and we'll probably get to there. At the finish line, they say swim up to where the finish is, that chute is, and don't stand up until you see the board. There's a board that you walk out to get out of the water. Swim until your hand touches that board. If you are on the side or if you stand up earlier, you're going to get your feet cut by an oyster bed. So make sure to do that. Okay. Alex, do you have a comment?
Yeah, only thing to add, Natasha, is people tend to line up pretty quickly at Galveston, and it's a huge line, like a straight line.
Yeah.
There's not a place to use the bathroom when you're in that line, when you're lining up. And then if you want to be like one of the first in the water, if you have a specific place, just make sure you get out of transition early and into that line, because you kind of have to shimmy your way up otherwise. So it's hard to get around people, as Jules just added.
Yeah, it is very narrow. So that's a good point. The other thing is they don't let significant others, and they're not letting coaches now come all the way to essentially when you start to go over the bridge. They used to let us be there where we could maybe grab something from you or help you with the wetsuit. So prepare that if you've not gotten your wetsuit off and you've gone through this final chute area, you need to get help from your teammates, and you need to get help from others, or prepare to do everything yourself and have everything else handed off. I personally have a water bottle that I can just throw away, and I'm sipping on that all the way until I'm in the water, because you could be standing around for a while. And I have water and electrolytes. I have my final gel 15 minutes before. Don't forget to have that with you. And then you can just, there's a trash can, you can just throw things away as you get onto the bridge. Jules, you had a comment?
Yeah, with that on significant others and family not being able to go with you, definitely, especially at all the team events, talk to your teammates around you, because a lot of us are the same speed. And so you, when you're in the chute, if you're with an NVDM teammate, you don't have to ask someone to help you, zip up your wetsuit, fix your shoulders. So definitely talk to everyone, see who is around you, that's going to be around you in the swim. So that way, when you're in the chute, you're not scrambling to find help. You have someone next to you. You're starting with a teammate. So,
yeah. And as a teammate, look around, be prepared to say, hey, do you need help with your wetsuit? Like it helps massively to have someone pull up your shoulders, which a lot of us can't do ourselves with shoulder mobility. You don't want that to be the limiter of your swim performance. You didn't put on your wetsuit correctly and someone next to you could have helped you. Charlie, I remember you had a question.
If you're talking to me, I was just raising my hand to say I was doing 7.3 Galveston.
Got it. Yeah, and David wrote here, the mosquitoes were terrible pre-swim last year, so maybe something to consider, putting on some mosquito spray. Something that people forgot at our 100-mile ride the other day, and for this race, first race of the season, we forget everything. Don't forget to put on sunscreen before you put your wetsuits on. Don't forget to put on chafe cream. We have our new suits. We don't know where they're going to chafe. Our old suits, we found out after the fact. So what I do is anywhere the seams hit or there's a zipper that will hit your skin, definitely put some chafe cream there. And then, of course, your neck. Make sure to put chafe cream. There's nothing worse than your wetsuit chafing you and the salt water chafing you. And on that note, and I know we're going to get there, with your goggles, make sure your goggles are not leaking. If water gets in it and it's salt water, like it is on this course, which does make things more buoyant, which is great, but you're going to taste the salt. And if it gets in your goggles and in your eyes, that's just not a fun day after that. Your eyes burn for a while. So, okay, I think we said everything here. Swim course, what to expect. So you can see here, guys. Can you see my little arrow, like what I'm doing right here? Can everyone see that? Okay, cool. So if you see where the finish is, this green line, that's where the transition is. That's where you run out of transition, or run out of the swim to transition. So you have to walk all the way from there, all the way through the course down to here for the swim.
Natasha, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't actually see your cursor.
Yeah,
Oh,
me either.
Oh, you can't see it? Okay, I'm going to speak.
Okay. Okay.
So green line on the top, that is where you exit, and that is where transition is. That's the run from the swim to transition. So note that you guys are going to have to walk all the way to where the bridge is, like the yellow is, and there's you can see a bridge coming out. That's where the swim start is. Okay. So as you can see, this little bridge coming out of the land. You'll jump off there, and it goes out at an angle to the right. When you're standing on the bridge, look at what is behind those buoys. Sometimes it can be very choppy to where you can't really see in front of you, but you can see the buildings behind. And my recollection is there was a orange Home Depot that you could side off of. And if you just swam towards the orange Home Depot, you're going to the right direction. I will say a lot of people have swum out to the right. Maybe the current has pushed them a little bit to the right. So make sure you're staying and hugging as close to as you can the yellow buoys on your left-hand side, knowing you're going to be taking a left on that first turn. And then also know, for those guys who want support out there or may need support out there, the kayaks are on the inside of these lines. And so if you want to stay even to the left as you're swimming out, to the left of those yellow buoys, you'll be closest to the kayaks, and what I recommend. And if you need a break, you just go hang on it, as long as you're not moving yourself forwards from the kayak, but you just take a break, and then you can keep going from there. The other way you can take a break, just so you know, because I know we have a lot of beginners here, the wetsuit is going to keep you floating. Just kind of, people will turn on their back, take a couple deep breaths, maybe do a little bit of breaststroke, and when they've got their heart rate under control, they'll start swimming freestyle again. So there's no harm in doing that. And then the big thing you guys need to pay attention to here is at the bottom, there's 2 turns in a row. you got to know that that's going to be a little bit chaotic. People turning that left buoy, you know, if you want to miss all the chaos of that, go wide and then go wide again and then get on your line. But you have 2 turns in a row, so it will be a little chaos there for a little bit. And then once you take that left to go back straight, and so we're going now north per this map, make sure to hug those buoys to the left. I've seen people be very far outside to the right of that line and swim an extra 200-300 meters. And so hug as you can. You know the kayak's going to be on your left, and you're going to be siding off a boat. So where you turn that 90 degrees to the left, there's always a boat parked there. Just as you're swimming, look for the boat, swim to the boat. You pretty much swim past the boat, and then you take a left. And my recollection from, I've done this race, I think 10 times every year. It's so wavy, that final stretch. So sometimes you can be on the stretch up north. You can have the current with you and you're just cruising. Sometimes it can be pushing against you. But I know what's for certain is as soon as you turn left, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of chop and you feel like you're going nowhere. And so the key is just to kind of keep at it, keep that turnover high, really keep that form together and know you're just like 100 to 200 meters away, and then swim all the way up to that boat ramp so you don't cut your feet. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Yeah, as you saw here, shakeout swim opportunities, what you can expect on race day. Oh, a question we often get is, should you have tinted goggles or should you have clear goggles? You can, depending on when you start, as soon as you take that left and go up north, the sun is in your eyes. So that could be a reason to have tinted goggles. But historically for me, it's still pretty dark when they start the race. And so I've always personally worn clear goggles so I could just have better field of vision because the glare wasn't too bad. I don't know if anyone else, tinted or clear, what was your guys' experience? If you want to weigh in.
I did clear every time I've done it.
Okay. Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah, clear goggles is the way to go.
Awesome. Thanks. Harold, how many times have you done this race?
At least 10.
Yeah, same. Okay. So yeah, please weigh in. If there's anything I'm missing, please weigh in. The cool thing about this race, you guys, it's a historically fast race. And one of the reasons why is the transitions are really small. You know, some races you get out of the water and you've got to run like 300 meters to get to your bike. Here it's like 20 meters. You're right there. So it's prepare for it to be quick. It's going to be on concrete. So if you've never practiced wearing your bike shoes, walking with your bike on concrete, or practice that. Make sure, and some of you will run with it, but I'm guessing most of you will walk with it. And then those that have practiced obviously might have their bikes on their bike shoes on their bike and then jump on and put their bike shoes as they go. But small transition, make sure race morning and the day before you see where your bike is. So walk the transition. When you come out of the swim, where is your bike so you don't lose it? Know the pathway to get there. And then from there, okay, how do I get out to the bike out, which is on the other side of transition? And then the same thing coming back. You come back, you come in the same place you left. How do you get to your bike? And then from there, the run out is pretty much the same way that you came in for the swim. It's that same area. Okay. A question I often get asked is, do we eat during that in transition? Sometimes I've seen people put like a little water bottle just because you've got maybe salt in your mouth. You haven't drunk anything, and maybe you've been swimming for 40 to 50 minutes. You just need something right away and you drink a little water. Great. Typically, I advise start doing it when you're on the bike. You know, don't waste any time in transition. Get your helmet, shoes on immediately, get on your bike. And then as soon as you're on your bike, realize that you're making up for the fact you haven't hydrated for the last, say, 40, 50 minutes. So make sure to really nail that first hour of hydration. This race has historically been a case where everyone gets behind on the hydration. They've forgotten to be really be intentional about their fueling and their sodium specifically. And we see people cramping up like crazy. So know what your sodium loss is. Make sure you're really replacing that. Another reason people cramp, just so you know, is because it's just constant pressure on the pedals. for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and there's muscle fatigue that happens. So if that is someone you are, make sure when you're out there, maybe giving yourself a bit of a break or changing up like the muscle fiber recruitment, like maybe your quads are really being used. Or think about maybe pulling up your knees so that your hamstrings are used. And so you're just like moving that around so that one doesn't fatigue. And then also I've seen on the bike, in aero, let me put the course here. You're in aero pretty much the whole time if you can hold it, minus 1 or 2 turns. But some of you might intentionally have to sit up for a second just to release your back because you've never held aero for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I've seen people come off and their hip flexors are tight and they start running and they're just so sore. And so opportunities, of course, you want to say hi? So hi. Opportunities, of course, are just after a corner, you're sitting up, you're getting out the saddle maybe for a little bit to get going. There is a bridge, and I'm not right at the end of the course. Some people will intentionally sit up on that bridge just to give their bike a bit of a break. Alex, never have I ever held aero for that long. Okay. Does anyone, before we talk about the wind and what to expect, and maybe Harold, you can talk to that. Does anyone have anything to weigh in on the bike course?
The very first section of the bike course coming out of transition, depending especially on where you come out of the swim, it can be very crowded, and it's pretty technical. There's a hard right turn, there's a hard left turn. The road kind of winds through the apartment complexes, and people are very excited. There's some speed bumps on the road, and people tend to overcook those turns. So come out of transition just nice and smooth. You know that there's going to be some hard right turns, left turns, speed bumps, a windy road. It isn't for very long. Once you get out onto the major road, the seawall road, that's where you want to open it up and get into your rhythm. Don't start trying to get too fast into your goal power right away out of transition. And then again, you go right through that section at the end coming off the bike. Maybe a good time to kind of sit up, stretch your back a little bit, get your last little bit of nutrition in and get ready for transition area. But the very first section and the very last section of the bike course is pretty technical.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, I use those sections to kind of warm up into it. I might be a little lower on my power. My cadence is a little higher, just get my legs going. And then I use that as soon as we turn back to come in. I kind of use that if I haven't set up at all, kind of stretch out my back a little bit, just kind of back off the power, bring my cadence up if I've been riding at a lower cadence to match that of my run. I just feel like I'm ready to run. Go ahead, Jules.
The first part, I believe it's like 5 or 7 miles. But another thing too is those roads are pretty bad, and you're gonna see like during the races they'll spray paint orange or like a bright color around potholes, cracks in the road. To my memory, especially last year, there was a lot of that the first 5 miles in that stretch. So also just pay attention, not going out too hot, but also watch where you're going, because also just because you might know how to ride your bike doesn't mean everyone else does. And so I've definitely seen some people just veer off, hit a pothole. So just pay attention the first 5 miles through that until you hit the seawall. And yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I might be jumping ahead here into the wind.
Yeah.
But for the wind, like when you're going into the wind, it's a similar stimulus of riding uphill. So some people like to go to a really low gear, like a low cadence. I like to jump to a really high cadence to ride through the wind. And then just remember, you're still more aero. If you're in aero position riding into the wind, it's not like a hill where you want to grab the bull horns and like fight your way into it. Just try to stay try to stay in aero and think positive thoughts, like everybody's going through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do historically have seen a lot of people just sitting up, like they're trying to control their bike sitting up, and you can control your bike well in aero and you'll go just much faster. So I think of it as you're going to get out of it this much faster if you have a headwind. But historically, you are going to have a tailwind and you're going to fly. It's been the tailwind going out multiple times, and people are on the other side turning around in like an hour. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill this thing. They turn around, headwind. And so just be prepared for that. And then there can be some pretty good crosswinds coming through, especially there's an area where there's like buildings along the seawall to the right. And as the wind comes through those buildings, they pick up for a little bit. And for me, I've always as long as you're keeping tension on the train, I feel like you have more control of your bike, that you can kind of cut through the wind. It's when people are just like spinning out of control. There's no stability in the bike. That's where the wind blows you. And then also make sure you guys, you're hydrating and you're fueling during this. So many times people are really, if it can be windy, like really windy out there, you're so focused on controlling your bike, you forget to grab your water bottle and fuel at all. And then 2.5 hours later, you're like, crap, I didn't drink it all, and I'm behind 200 calorie or 200 carbs. You're just going to end up walking the whole run. So rather slow down, take the time to make sure you're fueling through this. Harold, any other coaches have anything else to say about the wind?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, think of it this way: when you're in the aero position, you're going to be less affected by the wind, right? So it won't move you around as much. So if you're a smaller rider, that just stay in aero, and you're going to be you're going to get blown around less.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if any of you guys have any questions as far as maybe you've got some race wheels, you have options on race wheels. If you have a disc, always ride the disc. The wheel that gets blown around the most is the front wheel. And so that's where I would say, okay, 404, 808, that's where we might talk about it based on your control of the bike. For me, yeah, it just depends on the wind, and what you can control. But if you're unsure, then a smaller front wheel, like a 404, is probably the better way to go. Okay, what you can expect out there as far as fueling. So every single one of you should have a fueling plan. You know how many carbs, how much sodium, how much to drink. You need to have a plan of how much of that you're taking yourself and how much of that you are relying on the aid stations. You're going to come to an aid station 3 times throughout this course, every 15 miles. So this is exactly what you can expect, right? So for me, I always rode just with 2 bottles. And I had,
Can I
yeah,
this out?
yeah, you can.
And
Thank
then
you.
where do I put these?
Wherever you want on the bowl. Okay. Sorry, you guys. So I would have 2 bottles, and I would get to that first aid station. My goal would be have gotten through that whole bottle to make up for the hydration, or make sure I'm on top of my hydration. And I would toss that bottle away. So I'd get a cheap bottle, right? And then from that, I would personally grab a water, and I would put it in that cage, and I would get out of there as quickly as I could, because that's where people drop bottles. That's where people are looking down. They're going skew, and it's a dangerous part of the course. So I try to get in what I needed and get out. And then once I'm going, then I would take that water bottle and I would fill my front hydration system with it, because that's where I was drinking most of my fuel and water from, so that I could just stay in air. I could just sip through a straw. That was my plan. You guys come up with your plan. Again, have an understanding of if you need to hit your specific hydration needs. Every aid station, do you need to get a water bottle? Obviously, there's modal hydration. If you've never tried that before, I would say don't try it on race day. So your option here is water. So you need to take all your carbohydrates with you.
Can I have this?
Yes, yeah, you can take all your carbohydrates with you and just and sodium, and just take water from the course. The Morton, how is that? Is that just gels that are out there? Is that
They're
correct?
going to have the solid bars out there as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So you'll be able to grab that. And then also what I say, I'm very vocal. So I will say water, mortal, and I would slow down enough. And so in coming to that aid station, get into an easier gear, because you're going maybe from 24 miles an hour, and you're slowing down to 15 miles an hour to grab your bottle. If you're in the same gear you were going 24 miles an hour, then you really got to like press hard to get out of that and get back going. But if you're in an easier gear, it's just easy to kind of spin out of that and get back up to your speed, and then get back into aero as quickly as you can. And then the last thing you need to know is, if you do grab a bottle, and just say you want to grab it and you want to fill up your front hydration right away, or you have gels on you and you want to throw it away, you have to get it down and away from you before this last chance trash sign. Okay. And don't pass anyone on the right. Like, as people always pass on the left, and we'll talk about that in a second as well, because this bike course can be crowded. Any questions or additions, you guys, on the aid stations and what to expect there? Okay. Okay, so we're going back to run transition, but let's just talk about just the rules. When you're out there, stay to the right. If you're going to pass someone, move to the left. showing clearly you're going to pass someone, because there might be someone coming from behind you and you don't want to just like swerve last minute. Clearly move to the left, go past them, and then as soon as you've passed them, back to the right. Okay. You try your best to hold the legal distance. What is it, you guys? 4 or 5 bike lengths? I don't even know these days what it is. Do we know?
10 meters, I think.
How many?
10 meters or 3 bike lengths.
3 bike lengths. Okay, so you're going to estimate 3 bike lengths. For me, I always looked at the lines in the middle of the road, and I would always do one solid line and a non-line. That was about the distance. And I would always say, okay, where their bike is, am I one solid line and non-line and be behind them? With that being said, it does get super crowded. And so you just do the best you can to play by the rules. They are going to flag you if there's someone there, if you are blatantly on someone's wheel. And then maybe you get unlucky where, you know, maybe you've gone up to someone, maybe, and you drop back. That's another rule you don't want to do, is where, just say you're coming up to someone and you're like, you're going to pass, but then you don't, because maybe that person gets fast all of a sudden and now you drop back. That's essentially a penalty. So if you make the intention to get too close to someone, like make sure to pass them, go by, but then the rest of the way, just do your best to give space to those people around you. Okay. And knowing at some points you might not, because there's just so many people out there. Again, just do your best and don't be kind of blatant about it. Okay. Cool. Bike to transition, to run transition, as we talked about, very small transition. You should honestly be able to get in and out very quickly. Have a plan of how you're going to do all of this. You know, the way you lay out your bike distance is 12 meter. Thank you. 6 bike lengths. 6 bike lengths is the distance. Okay. Have a plan. So coming out from swim to bike, you have everything on your bike ready to go. Make sure to pump up your tires race morning, guys. Make sure to check the wheels and everything are okay. Just a reminder, because you are dropping off your bike the day before and bikes fall over, bikes get hit. So in the morning, first thing you do when you get to your bike is you check your bike, make sure it's ready to go, in the right gear to get started. The tires are pumped up. And then next to it, you're going to lay out your transition. You put your bike shoes, your socks, your helmet, your glasses on top of that, and know that you cannot touch your bike or take it off the rack without your helmet being on and your buckle being clasped. Okay. Very, very important. So helmet on first, put everything else on next, grab your bike, you go out. Now, when you're coming off the bike, and we've seen people do this wrong before, you come off your bike, you keep your helmet on. You go and you walk and you put your bike down on the rack. Then you take your helmet off, you place it down, you take off your bike shoes, you have your run shoes ready to go. What I personally do is I'll put on my run socks, run shoes, and then I have my hat, my race belt, which you all need, my extra fueling, and I have that in my hat. And as I'm going out of transition, I'm then putting everything on. I'm putting my gels in my bra, I'm putting my hat on, I'm putting my race belt over myself. Okay. And what I do is I keep my race belt clasped and I put it over my head and I do that. It's just a lot easier than trying to clasp it. And maybe now your hands are cramping up from the bike ride. You're stuck there. Okay. So don't do that. Someone commented, Rob, how do we get enough sodium when only starting with 2 bottles and then grabbing plain water? Yeah. So what you might do is you might concentrate the bottle, one of your bottles, Rob, or what I personally did is in a bento box, I would have extra salt. So I always had, honestly, 2 to 3 vials of base salt to supplement with what I had. And I always intended this would happen. I would drop one of them. And that's why I always had too many base salts, just in case that happened. And then the same thing on the run. I would have enough base salts so that in case I drop one, I have some extra. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And then the last thing on the run, it's 3 loops. There's a lot of turns. You're going to see each other all the time. It's amazing. I think it's an amazing run course outside of those turns, just because of the camaraderie. It can be windy. If it's windy that day, you're going to feel it at some points. So just be prepared for that. There's not a lot of shade. As I said on this course, it's flat minus a bridge. There's one little bridge you run over and then you turn around and you run back. And then there's one section, if they still have it, where you go around and the course, it's very uneven. It's like you're running on a trail. And so you'll slow down at that point, but then the rest is honestly really, really fast. So really prepare at this point. You need that sunblock. We see people get fried. If you need to reapply sunblock in T2, reapply sunblock in T2. And as I said, have extra salt. We don't want you stuck on the course cramping and you're like, where's your salt? And you're like, don't have it. And then I would recommend, and you guys, coaches, let me know. For me, if I stop to stretch a cramp, I would cramp more. I would just slow down. So I feel something coming. So just say it's my cough. I'm starting to feel it. Well, I'll try to run without using my cough. I will stop pushing off my toe. I would lift my legs with my hamstring, use another part until I've taken some salt in, I've relaxed that muscle, gotten water, etc. And then, okay, it's gone. We'll move forwards. And I've been able to come back from like severe cramps with that, but no stopping and stretching. I see that happen all the time and they just get worse. And then when you go through an aid station, have your hands open and be prepared to take as many cups as possible. For me, my thing was grab one in the mouth, grab another over the head. Oh, cup of ice in my kit, you know, another Gatorade, wanted that. Another, I want some more sugar. So I'd literally go through an aid station, take 5 or 6 cups. Okay. And that's how much hydration you need when it's a hot course like that. You think a lot of you sweat like 3 to 4 pounds in a run in an hour. Well, that, if you're only getting to these aid stations, let's say every, 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes for some of you guys, that you need to take a couple cups in order to meet that hydration loss that is going on. Okay. Coaches will be out there. We usually like put ourselves like every mile of the course. So it's like when you don't feel good, oh, there's a coach, we're going to shout at you. Also, if you guys are competing and you want to know what your splits are, many of us, we see you go out and you can say split or, where's my placement? And we can look it up. And by the time you've come back, because it's a little out and back, we can tell you. Again, there's 50 of you to keep track of. So you literally have to ask us and we will be there with our phones to help you. And then, as we said, aid stations, they have all the same things. Cola. If you've never tried Coke before, I would recommend maybe trying it in the next 2 weeks just to kind of see how that sets. But that's honestly been a go-to. A mistake I've seen made is people turn to Coke for their calories and their sugar. They forget to take their sodium, which they're getting from Gatorade and everything else. So if you are turning to Coke, make sure to still take your sodium. Okay. We'll have tents on the run. We might have 2. There'll be one on tent row. And in the past, we've tried to set up another tent in this hot spot per se. But if we can't set it up there, there will be people there and there'll be people on the other side. But you can push all your family and friends to that tent where we'll have some chairs. We'll put out a cooler of water so they can fill up their water bottles, probably get some snacks. Okay. Any questions? That took 39 minutes. I feel like I did my best there. Let me stop this and we can look at everybody. How do I stop presenting? Okay. Does anyone want to add anything I missed? Any questions? Okay. Again, race plans with your coaches. Okay, give me a second.
I got ice cube.
Okay.
Ice cube with chocolate.
Very good. Guys, yeah, have those calls with your coaches. You should have an exact race plan. Historically, I get to Galveston and I'm talking to some of you and you have no idea how to fuel, like none of this. You don't know maybe what heart rate you're going to be at, the strategy of how to attack the race day. And then that's just you not using the resource of your coach fully. They can help guide you through all of that and any other questions you have. So please make sure to take advantage of that opportunity. Okay. Good. We're excited to see you. It's going to be awesome. I'll have water bottles for everybody. Carl, did you have a question or? No? Okay, you're just saying high five, I think. I'll have water bottles for all of you. Some of you, if for some reason you joined the team, you didn't get a swim cap or a NVDM hat, I'll be bringing that as well. Would love you guys to represent, more so because we can see you out there. So if you can wear anything NVDM, then we're able to spot you and cheer for you out there. Okay.
Natasha, real quick, there was a comment about the run map looking a little bit confusing. And it does. The run map does look a little bit confusing if you've never done this race. But we actually get out there on the course and you're running, especially if you're not leading the race on the first lap, you should be fine. The course is well marked. It looks a little confusing on the map, but once you get going in it, it's not as bad as it looks.
Yeah, it's very well marked for sure. And then it's 3 loops. That's the big thing to know. And if you forget how many loops you've done, look at your watch, look at your Garmin, and see how many miles you've done. And that will help guide you. Okay. Cool. Guys, appreciate your time. Excited to see you guys in 2 weeks. So have a great week, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.